2019, Raja Ampat's coral reefs were the gold standard. We went back this year, ready to present it as the perfect example of marine health. But we quickly discovered something profoundly disturbing. Mass coral bleaching and death on a scale that will shock you. Social media will only show you the highlights, but we're going beyond the Instagram reels. And in part 1 of the series, we're going to show you what nobody else will. Hey guys, and welcome to Raja Ampat. Over the next couple of days, we're going to be doing day dives from this resort in Waisai. And after that, we're going to be taking you on a special trip, which you probably haven't heard about.
It's technically low season now, so we were really surprised at the amount of people coming in on the boats. We're staying with a dive centre called Scuba Republic, and we've already noticed that the area is getting a lot more developed. When we were last here, this whole area right here was just jungle, basically. But now there's a few places popping up, there's resorts being built. A lot of the forest area has been cleared out to make way for dive centres, resorts. So we're interested to see how the dive sites are looking 6 years later. So for our first dive site, we are heading to Cape Kri. It's one of the most famous dive sites in Raja Ampat. Although it is extremely beautiful, covered in hard and soft corals, full of different marine life, it can also experience some really strong and unpredictable currents.
The dive site from our resort is a half-an-hour journey, and we're almost there. Time to kit up.
Let's go diving.
First stop, Cape Kri. Famously holding the world record for the highest number of species ever recorded on a single dive. It's a must visit on any Raja Ampat itinerary. We were super excited to dive here for our first dive back in Raja Ampat. But immediately on descent to the dive, things felt different. Have a look at some comparisons from 2019 versus today. And tell us what you think. During our 60-minute dive, truly healthy sections of the reef were hard to find. When only a few years ago, we found ourselves overwhelmed by the sheer density of life here. Still beautiful, yes, but not thriving like it was. Maybe it was down to the lack of current on this dive, or our high expectations from our last visit. Either way, we couldn't shake the feeling of being slightly underwhelmed.
So we would say the highlight of that last dive was probably the massive school of Trevally we saw right at the end.
Had barracuda in there as well. We had, at the same time, 2 turtles cruising under this school of Trevally. It was phenomenal, and right at the end, and super shallow.
The coral, unfortunately, looking a bit worse for wear. The water was extremely warm. It was probably around 30 degrees, maybe a little bit more, which is too much for the coral, really. It was hard to find sections of really healthy coral. Positive side, there were still lots and lots of fish, huge schools of trevally, loads of barracuda. We saw some sharks.
So we are enjoying an hour surface interval before we go on our next dive to Chicken Reef. Another fantastic dive site here in Central Raja. But fingers crossed, we can see that it is as healthy as it was 6 years ago. We'll find out. Let's go. Cape Kri had given us a disturbing glimpse of Raja Ampat's changing coral. But if we were still clinging to denial, Chicken Reef left no room for doubt. Because nothing could have prepared us for what we were about to see. These bommies once supported an explosion of biodiversity. Now, vast areas of coral completely dead. Scarred by mass bleaching. Broken table corals. Ghostly remnants of Dead Sea fans. rocky areas scarce of any vibrancy or life. Many divers would probably still marvel at the beauty here. But to us, the scale of death and destruction was undeniable. If this can happen to a place like Raja Ampat in just 6 years, what does this mean for the rest of the planet's coral reefs? We spent the rest of the day grappling with what we'd witnessed underwater. And the worst part? Almost everyone else we spoke to, dive guides, marine conservationists, and marine biologists, seemed unaware of the tragedy unfolding beneath the surface. Or does Raja Ampat's overwhelming topside beauty simply distract from what's really going on beneath? Either way, we were determined to keep diving and prove ourselves wrong.
Good morning, everyone. Yesterday we did our dive at Chicken Reef, and then we came back and reflected on the 2 dives we had yesterday. We couldn't even bring ourselves to make a video after that because we were so upset and heartbroken at what we'd seen. 70 to 80% of it was either dead or dying, and it's all down to the temperature. So the rising sea temperature has bleached and destroyed the coral on Chicken Reef at least. Back in 2019, that dive site was absolutely full of coral. All of the coral bommies that we saw yesterday that are now basically dead. Back then they were covered in various species of coral, all existing together, as you would expect in a place like Raja Ampat, being known for its biodiversity. And yesterday what we saw was nothing like the Raja Ampat we know, and it left us absolutely heartbroken, and we couldn't even bring ourselves to make the video after that. But this morning we're trying to feel a little bit more positive. We're going to go for 2 more dives this morning, and then we're going to see if it improves. So this is our honest vlog on Raja Ampat, and we hope that you appreciate the honesty, because all you see on social media is just how amazing and beautiful it is. We're still hopeful that not all of the sites have suffered the same fate. So let's see how we get on today. So we are heading out to Yenbuba. It's just over there.
Our third dive of this trip in Raja Ampat, and arguably one of our favourite dive sites from 2019. This little unassuming jetty was, and we hope still is, absolutely crammed chock-a-block full of life.
It's a really tiny jetty. It looks like nothing from the surface. But once you get underneath that jetty, it's just full of life. It's beautiful.
We often like just to stay at the jetty because of the sheer number of fish and photo and video opportunities we get there. Fingers crossed we're still going to see a huge abundance of fish and have an epic dive. As we descended next to the Yenbuba jetty, we were pleased to see some larger areas of healthy hard corals. A promising start. But as we went deeper down the slope, we discovered that the once thriving field of cabbage coral showed massive signs of stress, bleaching, and destruction. Heading back up the reef slope, we were able to find a few more healthy patches of coral and marine life. Our main draw as photographers had always been the jetty itself. We were keen to see it. While small schools of fish were present, it felt diminished. The jetty itself, once adorned with hard and soft corals, was now bare. On a more positive note, the shallow areas right underneath the jetty seemed to be thriving with healthy new corals, many of which weren't there a few years ago. But then, another problem revealed itself. A swarm of fish and a Napoleon wrasse at the surface displayed unnatural behaviour, a clear sign of fish feeding. It disrupts natural behaviour, altering the reef's delicate balance and ultimately leads to destruction. This jetty, once a natural haven, has become a feeding station. Fish feeding benefits no one and carries a hefty fine if caught by park officials. So why is this happening? On top of this, we notice snorkelers leaping off the jetty and landing on top of the healthiest coral areas. We even saw people standing and walking directly on the reef.
So far on this trip, we've definitely got mixed emotions about it. We had heard reports that the coral was in a bad shape, but we really didn't realise how bad and how widespread it was. We've still got our hopes up for the rest of the trip. We're going to be heading further out in a couple of days' time. Apparently the coral is still okay over there, but it's really frustrating to see things like fish feeding happening and people going snorkeling and just landing straight on the coral and just standing on the coral. But we don't want to be all negative. This was supposed to be another trip of a lifetime, so we're going to keep an open mind and hopefully we'll start finding some coral in better shape and some more marine life, more akin to how it was last time we were here.
We're almost ready for our next dive. We've got at least 16 more dives coming after this one, so we're only just beginning. Let's see what else Raja has for us. Next up, Sardine Reef, another of Raja Ampat's premier dive sites. We remember this site for its incredible diversity of marine life over a vast area. But its location means that it's exposed to some strong currents, making it unsuitable for those without enough experience. As with most dives in Raja Ampat, we don't recommend it for beginners. So, with our expectations slightly lowered from the previous dives, Sardine Reef, remarkably, did not disappoint. The current was strong on this dive, which contributed to the amount of marine life we saw, especially once we reached the split of the dive site. However, the reef is clearly suffering from the excessive water temperatures, and healthy areas of the coral were once again very scarce. Yet, the sheer quantity of marine life on this dive felt much closer to the Raja Ampat we came here for. Were we already viewing the reef through rose-tinted glasses? Hey, welcome back to the jetty. We have just come back from our second dive of the day and we've just been diving in Sardine Reef. We did do this recording on the boat on the way back, but we accidentally forgot to turn on the microphones. So here we are again, back on land and ready to tell you about Sardine Reef. It was beautiful. Beautiful dive.
So after yesterday's initial shock when we first went down and noticed that the coral was in really, really bad shape, we've now sort of accepting that it's not going to be how it was the last time we came. So if you want to come to Raja Ampat, expecting it to be vibrantly covered in coral as it was a few years ago, it's not like that in central Raja Ampat, at least at the moment. But the fish are still there, the marine life is still around, the current is still pumping if you get it right, so you can really still have an amazing dive here. And we're going to have a great time diving this place over the next few days. We can't wait to show you more, and we're just going to update you as it goes.
So, those 4 dives were just the beginning. Join us in the next episode as we embark on an epic tour of central Raja Ampat and the Dampier Strait with a twist. It's going to be raw and unfiltered, showing you what Raja Ampat is really like in 2025. Will we finally discover thriving, untouched reefs reminiscent of Raja Ampat from 2019? Subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss the next episode and join us to find out.